How good is Dua Lipa's Future Nostalgia? Let's find out. Welcome back to another episode of Music Banter. I'm your host, Ben Holkman. Today, we're going to be talking about Dua Lipa's 2020 album, Future Nostalgia. Now, you might be asking, Ben, this album came out last year. It's 2021. Have you lived under a rock for a year? I know the pandemic has kind of bogged down everything else, but you should have reviewed this a year ago. Well, first of all, we were in a channel a year ago, so I couldn't. But secondly, this is going to usher in a new series that I want to do on this channel. I kind of referenced it in the Music Hot Takes episode where I said I'm going to listen to a random album from a random year that I'll listen to it and I'll review it. It can be literally any album. Make sure to go put your suggestions in the comments below or DM me on Primetime Banter, Ben OTB Banter on Twitter, Primetime Banter on Twitter. Literally, I'll probably have them in the links down in the description. So DM me with any of your requests and I'll get to them, hopefully. But yeah, literally any album if I haven't listened to it already. So the first one I wanted to do was actually Future Nostalgia. Now, this is an album which I had heard a lot of the tracks before. I didn't listen to the entire album in sequential order or in any sort of order other than I just heard them on the radio. You know, of course, Levitating by Dua Lipa and DaBaby is everywhere now, and I'm glad it's everywhere. It's amazing. I think that's one of the few tracks off of like any album that everyone likes. Like, genuinely, I don't know if it might get old in a little bit. Like, it might get old, but I kind of doubt that a little bit, and I'll get into that actually pretty soon because I'm going to talk about the title of this album. Now, in my personal opinion, I tweeted this out on my personal account. Of course, links will be in the description. I said that Future Nostalgia is one of the best names for an album that I've heard in a while, because not only does it have its sort of swagger of this is gonna be something that you're gonna remember for 20 years and go back and listen to this and be like, wow, this defined like my 2020s, or this defined my 2020s, or this defined my childhood, this defined my college experience, this defined my high school experience, this defined my experience in the new world, like all that kind of stuff. But it also kind of shows what the production on the album is going to be. It's going to be futuristic. It's going to sound like something that you're going to hear later in the video, later in production and in pop and in all that kind of stuff. But it also is very nostalgic. It draws on these different influences that it has from the 80s, from the 90s, from the 2000s. And it really, truly works. It well and truly works. I don't really have a lot of gripes with any of the production on this album. I really don't. But yeah, let's get right into it. Future Nostalgia opens with Future Nostalgia. Now, it's good as an opener. I think the chorus is very good. I think almost every chorus on this thing is very good. But it basically just kind of rolls out the message of the album. It kind of says, this is what we're going to hear. This is the criteria of what's going to be covered on the album, and this is what we're going to be talking about. And you know, it really isn't bad. It's a very good opener. It's very electro pop. It's like it gets you in the mood for the album. I'm not saying like this is the all time like, oh my god, it's a great opener. You know, of course, Dark Fantasy. I mean, I can list like almost every Kanye opener, I'll be honest. But yeah, like, to be honest, I think, now I'm going off of the track. By the way, I'm going off a track only because I want to plug something that isn't ours. Listen to Dissect by Cole Kushner on Spotify. It is genuinely the greatest thing I think I've ever found on Spotify. Like, I'm not kidding. I know I'm going off track, but this thing is amazing. It is so good. He's doing one on Yeezus right now, and I'm not the biggest fan of Yeezus. If you would have seen my Kanye album tier list, I didn't put Yeezus as high as probably everyone would probably want me to. But oh my god, it's so in depth, and it's making me understand the album more. I don't know if I'll change my opinion on it, but it's genuinely very good. Back to the start. I was only going off track because I had also started to listen to the To Pimp a Butterfly one. And Wesley's Theory is a great opener. It's an unbelievable opener, actually. But I will say that Future Nostalgia does give you an opener and does at least give you the message of the entire album. It's going to tell you why you should listen to this and why it is something that will do well. And it does do well, I'm not going to lie. And then it turns into Don't Start Now, and a song which I've always heard. I've heard since the beginning of the lockdown. I've heard since now, and maybe because I think the beginning is overplayed. Because every time it comes on, I'm like, oh, okay, all right. Like I'm not excited for it um, all the time, but I think it's a very good open. I think it's not opener, but I think it's a very good track. The bass on it's great. It's got a great kind of storytelling. I love the transition from the beginning to like the did a full 180, bro. It's very good. Um, I will say it's got some quirks in the production, and I've said this like it's got some quirks in the production, and it kind of does throughout the entire album. That reminds me of like a Daft Punk. Not like oh, it's as great as Daft Punk, but it's got some of those like spacey kind of futuristic quirks on it that remind me of like a Random Access Memories, like a very like how Daft Punk would make a song, or to how those little things that Daft Punk would put into their songs that would make you go wow, like that's very good. And then the next song is actually probably one of my favorite songs off the album, which would be Cool. Now, that sounds like something straight out of the 80s, like the synth pop of the 80s and some of the beats of today. It's so very good. I think her singing on it's great. I think the message on it, how she finally found someone who's like making you realize, like, wow, like this is like something that I well and truly enjoy, and this is someone who I well and truly enjoy being with. It's something that I think a lot of people can connect to. Most of the sentiment on this album should be should be able to connect with, and I think this is a very good kind of transition from Don't Start Now, because Don't Start Now kind of talks about her breaking up with her ex and like her like still having to go through the growing pains of leaving her ex and all that kind of stuff. And Cool kind of transitions it to now she's seen someone else who has become this like person in her head. I don't think there's a giant story being told, kind of like into Pimp Butterfly. I don't think there's like an overlying thing like in like an Undone or something like that. But I do think that there is some sort of there's a reason why the song comes after Don't Start Now, because it does kind of transition into a new relationship. But yeah, all in all, Cool's one of my favorite albums. One of my favorite tracks off the album. And then it moves on to another great track, which after re-listening to it earlier today, I wrote down on my notes that it sounds like something out of the Flashdance soundtrack. It also sounds like a like fight movie or a white fight movie where like the protagonist is like it sounds like a montage, right? And the protagonist is trying to impress this girl, but the girl is like, I'm getting way too into the lore of this fake movie, but like the protagonist is like trying to impress this girl, but the girl is like working for the antagonist, and he's like, I got to train to like go defeat the stars, or I got to train to like go defeat like the bad guy and all that kind of stuff. I don't know why I made this like lore for the song. I think it's so stupid that I did, but I genuinely enjoyed this album. Yeah, I did enjoy the album, but I genuinely enjoyed this like song way more than I think a lot of the people did, just because of like the story I made up for it. I genuinely enjoy that. I enjoy that track way too much. But yeah, then we move on to another great song, Levitating. Now this is the regular Levitating. This isn't the Baby Levitating, which again, actually hold on. Let's just shout out the Baby real quick. Everyone I think thought, okay, by the end of 2020 they're gonna like suck, or he's not gonna suck, but he's gonna like kind of fade out. He'll just be like a phase. This man has been able to keep relevance for so long, like seeing how trends work in like modern music and hip hop and rap and all that kind of stuff. He's been so relevant for so long. I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty proud of him, because he is a very talented rapper. However, we're gonna go into the regular Levitating without the Baby. Yes, does the Baby fill a void that was there? Sure, but if you listen to only the regular one without the Baby, you wouldn't have noticed that big of a void. I think you would have definitely still enjoyed this song. I definitely did. It's the same thing as the remix, but it's still very good. It's still very enjoyable. The bass on it's great. The voice box, that was like a little quirk that I found. Again, something that Daft Punk would do very well. That I liked a lot. And it's that fly away with me part. It just hits. It just hits. You know what I mean? Like most of the song hits, but like definitely the chorus and all that kind of stuff that hits. Um, but then we move on to Pretty Please, which again, another great song. It's a little low key, it's a little repetitive, like in the fact of like the chorus is just her and the bass, or basically like the main components of the chorus is her and the bass and not much else. But it's got a thumping bass. I think the bass is very good. It's incredible. It's incredibly cool song. The pre-chorus and the chorus flow together so well. The little sounds at the end somehow fit together, like with the cowbell and all that kind of stuff, and like her like vocals chopped and auto tuned. Like it shouldn't fit together, but it does. Um, and I definitely, it seems like sometimes they were a bit thrown together, but it's like one of those things where how did this work? And it does work. But then we move on to Hallucinate, which I kind of read up on a little bit because there's a little thing on the end of the Spotify where it kind of talks about the description of the song. And Dua Lipa thinks this is like the festival banger that like, and it is, it is, it's very good. It's very loud. It's very in your face and it's very great. Like it kind of a little reminds you of Physical just a little bit, but it might be one of the best off the album in my opinion. It might be one of the best songs off the album. And then you have a song like, so hold on, need to flip my page. Then you have a song like Love Again, which the sample on this track that plays behind the chorus is unbelievable. The strings, which I didn't know if it was a sample. Apparently it is. It's called Your Woman by White Town, which apparently sampled another song from 1932. I'm not going to do enough research to figure out what type of song that was. Hopefully nothing bad. Vocally, she does very well here. The production is great. And this is something that I talked about before. Then, first of all, actually, before I get into this, the strings, like everything together, it could be a little overbearing, and I can understand that. But to me, it just sounds it sounds very good, all in all. I think after the second and third listen, I was like, okay, I can understand it now, like all that kind of stuff. This is something I would say to this album, and I'll give this album credit. Almost all of the songs off this album could have been used as singles, which isn't like something. This isn't a critique, by the way. This isn't me being like, oh, they didn't really like try and do any depth or anything. No. That's not how that goes. To me, having almost all these sound like singles does kind of run a thin line because you have artists like Justin Bieber or probably anyone from One Direction who make an album like that and not have any depth to it. While I think Dua Lipa here improves, number one, heavily from her 2017 project, which wasn't bad to begin with, but this is just an unbelievably great amount of improvement. However, I do think that having a lot of these songs that could come out as singles, still very good. I'm not debating it. I think she definitely toes the line very well with that. And then you have another track like Break My Heart. It's got a great sentiment, of course. She's talking about that she's been hurt before. She puts her defenses up. She's usually not someone that goes out on dates or does not really like date anyone or because she doesn't want to get hurt, but then she finds this person that she thinks might help, but she's not sure and all that kind of stuff. I think we've all kind of been there at times. The bass is again amazing. I think she uses the utility of the bass throughout this album is very good. Like not that it should be bad, but like I think to me it sounds very good. It's still a very good song. Her vocals with the bass is very good. It's got great replay value. Yeah, I don't know what else to say about it. It is one of the more popular songs off the album. However, it still has a lot of great replay value, which is something that to me is very important because you could look at a lot of the new pop songs, a lot of new pop albums where they would have these different types of songs like I hate to hark on the guy, but Justin Bieber, like the song Love Yourself to me got so old after like 2 listens. Or something like that. And I'm not even that big of a Justin Bieber fan, and that's not because of that's not because I grew up when he was like popping off and I was a dude and I was like, oh, I wish I was Justin Bieber. No, that's just because of the many controversies surrounding him, and I also think that he isn't that good of an artist. But never mind, let's move back to Dua Lipa because she is a great artist. And then you have the track Good in Bed, which I can understand why people don't like this track. I can understand it. It's not the strongest track off the album. It's funny. It's a warning kind of song. It's not bad. I can get why people don't like it. The effect on the album, the effect on the chorus, I should say, is the kind of pop that comes after like the second time where she was like, first of all, that kind of style of chorus reminds me of something. Like I know most of this album reminds me of something, as you've seen by me breaking down an entire movie plot off of Physical, but like that reminds me of something, which again goes back to the influence. There's definite influence from 80s, 90s, and early 2000s. Even you can look at some early 70s or maybe even early 60s if you want to try and dig that deep with this album. That you could find. I do think that this. I don't think that's a bad thing in 100%. I think it actually works to Dua Lipa's favor here. However, on this song, I don't have that many problems with it. I do think that there are some awkward moments in the song where it's like we don't know how to talk, we know how to, I can't say it because we try to keep this PG here, but I will say the awkward moments that would come in most other arenas and most other artists definitely aren't there. I think she does well with the material here, and to me, it isn't that terrible of a track. But then we get to the ending track, which is "Boys Will Be Boys." I think I wrote down "Feminism is so lit" on my notes. It when the chorus of Little Children says "but girls will be women," I was like, yes, little children, you understand it. It's great, it's grand, it's lush, it's amazing. And yeah, sure, could it have had a more like a very progressive theme to it? Sure, you could argue that, but I would argue that number one, this entire album has very progressive themes. And number two, if you like start to implement over time these levels of ideas, the first level will stick after time, the second level, the third, and the fourth, and those levels will start to become more popular. So I think, to me, putting not a base thing of feminism, because I don't think it is base, but putting a very widely accepted thing of like, yes, the boys are sometimes idiots and will try and be overbearing and all that kind of stuff. And I 100% agree. I 100% agree. I 100% agree. I hate to repeat that, but I really truly do. It's so great, and in my opinion, I think it's a very great ending. The orchestral backing of it is very good. And then okay, so this would be the ending, right? And I think the actual album, I think it's the ending. But there is another version of the album on Spotify that has a song called Fever. It's a meh track to me. It's all right. I'm not against or for anything there. It's a little repetitive. The feature doesn't do much to me there. And then it has, of course, Levitating Feet, the baby, which again, I don't know how many. That's probably my most listened track outside of Leave the Door Open this year. I'll be honest. I am in love with that song. It is just so great. But all in all, I think this is a great improvement among Dua Lipa's discography. Of course, there's only the one disc. With her project in 2017 doing fairly well, I think she knocks it out of the park here. I didn't have many issues with this album, and the ones I did weren't that big of a deal. All in all, if I were to be fair, because I did give like a continuum an 8, I would probably also give this an 8. I think this is a great album. I think it's an album that I think that anyone should look back and enjoy. I haven't listened to Folklore yet because, again, the two biggest people musically right now for me are Kanye West and John Mayer, so I won't be listening to a lot of Taylor Swift. Sorry, Swifties, but I will say this album was Future Nostalgia was fantastically enjoyable. I would 100% agree that you should go out and check this album. You should definitely listen to this album, or at least some of the singles off this album, or just Levitating Feet to Baby. It's such an amazing song. It really, truly is. But that has been the first episode of Random Album Reviews. I am your host, Ben Hochman. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did enjoy, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, ring the bell for notifications. I'll hopefully try and be posting every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Today was pretty difficult. I'm recording on a Tuesday because I got my COVID vaccine, and I was like, all right, this is a good time to sleep now, and I slept for about a good 3-4 hours. But yeah, hopefully this goes out Wednesday. If not, I'll try. If not, it'll go out Thursday, so don't worry. You'll get this whenever you get this, but you will get this. So yeah, that was my impressions on Dua Lipa's Future Nostalgia. Make sure to go check out all the links in the description. Make sure to go subscribe, hit the like button, hit the bell, listen to Levitating Feet to Baby. It's amazing. And I'll see you on the next video. Take care and peace.